Minnesota in 4, Auburn in 6. It's going to be Auburn. 38-34 unofficially, but the time is inconsequential. It's the 10 points.
What if I told you that finishing in last place in the final race could actually win you a championship? Sounds impossible, right? But that's exactly what happened at the 2025 NCAA Track and Field Championships. Let me take you back to June 14th, 2025 at Hayward Field in Eugene, Oregon. The atmosphere was electric. Thousands of fans packed the stadium for the final day of competition. After 3 days of racing, jumping, and throwing, everything came down to one final event, the men's 4x400-meter relay, and what happened next would go down as one of the most dramatic finishes in college track history. Going into that last race, 3 teams still had a shot at winning the national championship. USC was leading with 40 points, Arkansas had 34 points, and Texas A&M was sitting at 33 points. One race would decide who took home the trophy. USC didn't just need to run fast, they needed to be smart, really smart. Because even though they were in first place, they knew Texas A&M could steal the title with a strong finish. The math was simple but scary. If Texas A&M won the relay, they get 10 points and jump to 43 total points, winning the championship. If they got second place, they get 8 points and reach 41 points. But USC had a plan.
And I believe that's Jalen Knox for the USC Trojans there, sitting in 7th position now.
Jonah Vigil on 3rd leg for Arkansas. A&M and South Florida going to exchange together.
A strategy that nobody expected. They weren't trying to win the relay, they just needed to score one single point. Just one. Because if they could finish in 8th place or better, they'd get at least 1 point and tie Texas A&M for the championship. The gun went off, and 8 teams exploded from the starting line. The first runner took off, legs pumping hard around the track. Then came the handoffs. 1 baton pass, 2 baton passes, 3 baton passes. Each exchange had to be perfect. 1 drop baton and the whole plan falls apart. As the anchor runners grabbed the baton for the final lap, the crowd went wild. At the front of the pack, Texas A&M's Ahmad Robinson was locked in a fierce battle with South Florida's Gabriel Maranta. These two were flying. Robinson pulled alongside Maranta, coming off the final curve. For just a moment, it looked like Robinson would take the lead. The Texas A&M fans were on their feet, screaming. But then something amazing happened. Maranta found another gear, some hidden reserve of speed and strength. He pulled back ahead of Robinson right at the finish line. South Florida crossed first in 3 minutes and 42 seconds. It was stunning. Texas A&M finished second in 3 minutes and 43 seconds, earning 8 points. That gave them 41 total points. Now the camera switched to the back of the pack, because this is where the real drama was happening. USC was battling with Penn State for that crucial 8th place position. The USC runner was fighting with everything he had. His legs were burning. His lungs were screaming. But he kept pushing. He crossed the line in 3 minutes, 3 seconds, and 18 hundredths. Penn State finished just behind him at 3 minutes, 3 seconds, and 85 hundredths. The USC team had finished 8th, dead last in the finals, but they scored that one precious point, and that single point brought their total to 41, the same as Texas A&M, a tie. They were co-champions. But wait, the drama wasn't over yet. Arkansas filed a protest. They claimed that the South Florida runner had bumped into their runner during one of the turns. If the protest was successful, South Florida would be disqualified. Texas A&M would move up to first place and win the title outright. USC would drop to second place along with Arkansas. Everyone waited. The tension was unbearable. Finally, the officials made their decision. The protest was denied. The results would stand. USC and Texas A&M would share the 2025 NCAA Men's Outdoor Track and Field Championship. Now let me tell you why this was so incredible for USC. They hadn't won an outdoor championship in 49 years. Not since 1976, that's basically half a century. But even more impressive, they won the title without winning a single individual event. Not one gold medal. They built their entire championship on consistency and depth. Let me break down how USC scored all 41 of their points. Max Thomas got second place in the 100 meters, earning 8 points. William Jones grabbed second in the 400 meters for another 8 points. Their 4x100 relay team also finished second for 8 more points. Garrett Kaland ran a strong 200 meters and took third place for 6 points. In the field events, Raquel Broderick threw the discus to 4th place, adding 5 points. Max Thomas scored again with 6th place in the 200 meters for 3 points. Johnny Brackens finished 7th in the 400-meter hurdles for 2 points. And finally, that crucial 8th place finish in the 4x400 relay gave them 1 point. 7 different events, 7 scoring opportunities, all on the final day of competition. That's the strategy. That's the depth. That's how you win a championship without winning anything. Texas A&M took a different approach. They had 2 big individual champions. Sam Whitmarsh won the 800 meters in 1 minute and 45.86 seconds. That performance was the second fastest time in Texas A&M history. Alexander Solovev won the pole vault. Those 2 events alone gave them 20 points. Then their 4x400 relay got second place for 8 points. Jaqueline Scott finished second in the 400-meter hurdles for 8 more points. Bryce McRae took 6th in the same event for 3 points, and Ahmed Robinson, who ran that incredible anchor leg in the 4x400, had earlier finished 7th in the 400 meters for 2 points. Both teams scored 41 points, but they did it in completely different ways. Texas A&M had the stars. USC had the team. This was also historic for another reason. USC had won the indoor track championship earlier in March. Now they'd won the outdoor championship too. That made them only the 3rd team in history to win both championships in the same year. The last time it happened was 10 years earlier in 2015. For the coaches and athletes, this moment meant everything. These college athletes train every single day. Early morning workouts, late night practices, studying for classes, and then hitting the track. They sacrifice so much. And for USC, that sacrifice had finally paid off after 49 years of waiting. The women's competition was a different story. Georgia dominated, finishing with 73 points. USC's women took second place with 47 points. Georgia's coach, Carol Smith-Gilbert, had actually won championships at USC before in 2018 and 2021. Now she was beating her old school with her new team. But back to the men's championship. The beauty of this story isn't just about one relay team, it's about understanding how championships work. People think you need to be the best at everything, but that's not true. You need to be good at many things. You need depth. You need every single athlete to contribute. That 8th place finish in the 4x400 relay didn't look glamorous. Those runners didn't get to stand on top of the podium for that event. They didn't get their picture taken with a gold medal. But they got something better. They got a national championship. Because in team sports, sometimes the most important thing you can do is just score, just contribute, just add that 1 point that makes the difference. USC's strategy proved something important. Championships aren't always won by the fastest runner or the highest jumper. Sometimes they're won by the team that plans the best, prepares the hardest, and executes when it matters most. Every point counts. Every athlete matters. And sometimes finishing last in the final race is exactly what you need to finish first overall.
Running extra distance is Lena Irby. But we have seen her come off with a lot of steam. But if she doesn't have it today, Kendall Ellis will win the heat and establish the time to beat at 50:34.
Kendall Ellis got locked in a porta potty just before the biggest race of her life. Most people would freak out, but she turned that bad moment into something amazing. In June 2024 at the U.S. Olympic Trials in Eugene, Oregon, it's less than an hour before the 400-meter semifinal, and Kendall Ellis is trapped inside a porta potty. She was banging on the door, screaming for help. Her Olympic dream was about to start, and she was stuck in a bathroom.
Before the semifinals of my 400 at Olympic Trials in Oregon, I went to use the restroom, the porta potty, and the lock got jammed. And I was stuck in there for about 10 minutes, an hour before my race. And so once I was panicking and realizing I did not have a way to get out, I started banging on the door, calling for help, and thankfully a worker.
Somebody finally freed her, and what happened next shocked everyone. She didn't just run the race, she destroyed it. She ran 49.81 seconds, breaking her personal best for the first time in 6 years. 6 years. That's longer than most people stick with a New Year's resolution. But here's where the story gets even better. The next day, in the final, she did it again. This time, she ran even faster, crossing the finish line at 49.46 seconds. That's more than a third of a second faster than the day before. She won the race, became the national champion, and earned her ticket to the Paris Olympics. After the race, Kendall talked about that crazy porta potty moment. She said, "Crazy things happen right before something great is about to occur, so maybe I needed that to get all the nerves and adrenaline out." Only a true champion could find the positive in getting locked in a bathroom before the most important race of the year. Now you might be wondering who Kendall Ellis is and why this comeback means so much. Let me tell you her story. Kendall is 28 years old and comes from Florida. She's not new to big stages. At the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, she won a gold medal in the women's 4x400 relay and a bronze medal in the mixed 4x400 relay. She's a 3-time NCAA champion, a 14-time All-American, and a 7-time Pac-12 champion. This woman knows how to win. But here's the thing, even though she had all those medals and achievements, people saw her as a relay specialist. That means she was known for running as part of a team, not by herself. And that bothered her because she knew she could do more. 3 years earlier at the 2021 Olympic trials, Kendall finished 4th in the 400 meters. She lost by just 0.07 seconds. That tiny amount of time kept her from going to Tokyo for the individual race. She could only compete in the relays. Kendall talked about how that felt. She said, "I remember being so heartbroken. I'd have rather gotten 5th place or 6th. That might sound strange, but 4th place is the worst. You're so close to making it, but you don't. It's like watching the bus pull away right as you reach the stop." She continued, "But it was certainly a learning lesson. And coming into today, I told myself I did not want that feeling again." That heartbreak stuck with her for 3 years. It pushed her. It made her work harder. And in 2024, she was ready to prove everyone wrong. But wait, there's more to Kendall's story that makes her comeback even more special. To understand why people love her so much, we need to go back to 2018. She was at the college track meet at the NCAA Championships. Kendall was running the anchor leg of the 4x400 relay for the University of Southern California. When she gets the baton, her team was in 3rd place. She's 30 meters behind the leader. That's almost a third of a football field. The TV announcer basically called the race over. He said, "There's no way, unless they drop the baton, Purdue's going to win this." But Kendall didn't listen to that announcer. She just ran and ran and ran faster. Over that last stretch, she passed everyone and won the race for USC. The comeback was so incredible that even today, if you search for greatest track comebacks on the internet, Kendall's video from 2018 pops up near the top. When people asked her about that race, she explained her mindset. She said, "I wasn't listening to the announcer or anyone else. I'm always going to be optimistic about my chances. I mean, if I don't believe in me, then who else will?" That's the attitude that made her a mini legend in the track world. So now we're back at the 2024 Olympic trials, and Kendall hasn't set a personal best since 2018. That's a long time to go without improving your best time. She's been working hard, running fast in practice. But something wasn't clicking in the big races, until that porta potty incident changed everything. When reporters asked what was different this time, Kendall said something really important. She explained, "Just believing in myself truly. The workouts haven't changed, the results in practice haven't changed. But finally, something clicked up here that says, you can do it, you can go out with the best of them, and you can finish better than anyone else." So just really believing and committing to that belief in the very first step. Her training was the same. Her coach was the same. Her body was the same. The only thing that changed was her mind. She finally believed she could win, and that belief made all the difference. In that final, all 3 women who made the Olympic team ran personal bests and broke 50 seconds. Aaliyah Butler finished 2nd with 49.71 seconds, and Alexis Holmes took 3rd with 49.78 seconds. But Kendall was the champion. Her race strategy was simple. She said, "It was just replicating what I did yesterday and just doing it better. No fancy tricks, no secret plans, just run fast and believe in yourself." The story gets even more fun when we jump ahead to the Paris Olympics. Remember that porta potty incident? Well, Charmin, the toilet paper company, thought it was hilarious. They decided to sponsor Kendall right before her Olympic semifinal in Paris. She announced it on social media with the perfect tagline, "From backside to trackside." People loved it. It was genius marketing and showed that Kendall could laugh at herself even under pressure.
You know, as an athlete, I'm very regimented. So being overseas, I'm doing my best to replicate my routine from back home. And since you never know what type of toilet paper to expect when you're traveling, I'm so thankful for Charmin, who's rolling with me out here in Paris to provide the smoothest home away from home experience. And given my history with bathrooms ahead of a competition, I'm grateful to Charmin for taking away any bathroom worries caused by subpar toilet paper. Charmin Ultra Soft Smooth Tears got me covered from backside to trackside.
At the Paris Olympics, Kendall was competing in the individual 400 meters, not just the relays. This was her chance to prove she wasn't just a relay specialist. She was a real threat to win an individual medal. And she delivered. Kendall Ellis won the silver medal in the 400 meters at the 2024 Paris Olympics. After years of being seen as just a relay runner, after the heartbreak of finishing fourth in 2021, after 6 years without a personal best, she finally got her individual Olympic medal. The whole journey shows what's possible when you refuse to give up on yourself. Kendall had every reason to think her best days were behind her. She was 28 years old in a sport where people peak in their early 20s. She hadn't improved her time in 6 years. She was known as a relay specialist, not an individual star. But she kept working. She kept believing. And when the moment came, even after getting trapped in a porta potty, she was ready. Kendall's favorite color is gold, which makes sense for someone who's won Olympic gold. Her sports hero is Allison Felix because, as she says, she is great at everything she does. And now, Kendall has joined that same group of athletes who inspire others. From a heartbroken fourth-place finisher to an Olympic silver medalist. From a relay specialist to an individual champion. From locked in a porta potty to standing on an Olympic podium. That's the Kendall Ellis story. And it proves that your biggest comeback can happen when you least expect it. What if I told you that right now, tiny sensors smaller than a coin can see things about your body that even the best coaches can't? They can tell you're about to get injured before you feel any pain. Sounds like science fiction, right? Well, it's happening today, and it's changing everything about how athletes train. For thousands of years, athletes trained the same way. They ran, they jumped, they threw things. Coaches watched with their eyes and used stopwatches. That was it. If you got injured, well, that's just what happened. Nobody knew why. Nobody could predict it. Training was basically guessing and hoping for the best. But everything started changing in the late 1800s when someone invented the stopwatch. Suddenly, coaches could measure time perfectly. They could track if you were getting faster or slower. This one simple tool created a revolution. For the first time ever, training became scientific. Coaches could make plans based on real numbers, not just feelings. Then computers arrived, and sports would never be the same again. In the second half of the 1900s, electronic timing systems replaced those old stopwatches. These new systems were incredibly accurate. They could measure time down to tiny fractions of a second. This helped athletes and coaches understand performance in ways they never could before. But even that was just the beginning. The real game changer came with wearable technology. Suddenly, athletes could wear small devices that tracked everything. Heart rate monitors told you how hard your heart was working. GPS trackers showed exactly where you ran and how fast. Accelerometers measured every single movement your body made. All of this information came in real time, meaning athletes could see what was happening to their bodies right in that moment. Now, here's the part that makes this technology truly special. These devices don't just collect information, they actually help athletes get better while keeping them safe. The data shows training intensity, which means athletes know if they're pushing too hard or not hard enough. It reveals biomechanics, which is just a fancy word for how your body moves, and it tracks recovery, telling athletes when their body is ready to train hard again and when they need to rest. Think about what this means. Before these sensors, an athlete might train too hard and get injured without knowing why. Or they might not train hard enough and wonder why they're not improving. Now, they have answers. They have data. They have science on their side. But wait, it gets even better. Recently, something even more powerful has emerged. It's called data analytics, and when you combine it with sports, magic happens. Data analytics means taking all those numbers and information from the sensors and finding patterns. Let me give you a real example. At St. Mary's University, the golf team started using this technology. The sensors gave the golfers data about every single swing. They could see exactly what their body was doing. The technology helped them perfect their techniques in ways that were impossible before. Coaches could look at the data and say, hey, your hip moves this way right before you swing, and that's causing problems. Let's fix that specific thing. This is where machine learning comes in. Now, I know machine learning sounds complicated, but it's actually simple. It's when computers look at massive amounts of data and find patterns that humans would never notice. Coaches and analysts use these smart computer programs to sift through thousands and thousands of numbers. The computer finds trends, reveals patterns, and gives insights that change how athletes train. Here's something that might surprise you. This technology isn't just helping athletes. It's also making sports more fun for fans like you and me. Instant replay lets us see amazing moments over and over. Augmented reality, or AR, adds cool digital information to what we're watching. Virtual reality can make us feel like we're right there on the field with the athletes. You can now enjoy a live game from your couch and feel closer to the action than ever before. Sports have become more accessible and way more entertaining. And guess what? This is just getting started. Scientists are working on even more advanced technology right now. Biometrics and new wearable sensors promise to push human performance to levels we've never seen. The possibilities seem endless. Imagine training programs designed perfectly for each individual athlete. Imagine virtual reality experiences so real that fans feel like they're standing on the track next to Usain Bolt.